Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to talk about the Olight Baldr Pro R. Let's get into it. Alright, so the Baldr Pro R. First off, let's get this out of the way. This light was sent to me by Olight for purposes of review, talking about it, telling y'all about it, making a video about it, sharing my thoughts, right? Like I've always told them, I will tell you the good, bad, and the ugly. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. And you're going to get the truth from me, right, whether or not you believe it or not. But if you have to take what I say with a grain of salt, take what I say with a grain of salt, all right? I have only my personal opinions on things. I'm not a scientist. I can't give you a whole bunch of specs and data because I've only had this thing for so long anyway. So, like I said, take what I say with a grain of salt, but these are my opinions on this. So let's get into it. The purpose of this light, since I like to talk about purpose of things, from what I understand, the purpose of this light, it appears to be like a pistol mounted light. For instance, we do have a pistol right here, right? This is a TX22. The purpose is that it can stick on a light, be relatively slim versus some other lights, even lights that they have that have a laser on here, which this is a laser light combo if I didn't say that before. But other lights that they have that have a laser, the laser protrudes at the bottom, making it a little bit more cumbersome, just a little bit bigger, maybe more issues with holster compatibility and things like that. But this seems to be a more streamlined version of the one that they already have, the Baldr Pro, I believe it is. It's, as far as the width is going to be pretty much the same. I think the length of the whole thing is slightly longer, I do believe. But there's that dimensional difference with that laser being integrated. See, if you haven't seen what I'm talking about, the laser's integrated on the inside there, inside the bezel, versus being open on the bottom, all right? So, pros and cons to that, bunch of different things. I don't know all the pros and cons to that. What I see about a pro of that being is that sometimes when you have the laser on the bottom on some of the older models and stuff, you can cover that up somehow, right? You can have that covered up, whatever, and it's a lot easier to keep one lens unobstructed versus two lenses, if that makes any difference. And there's probably a niche need for that, very, very niche need for that. But if it's there, then it's there, and there you go. You have everything protected inside one bezel, I think is what it's called. Anyway, that's what I see as like the primary purpose of this guy. But in their advertising and things, I see it mounted on a rifle a lot. So for the purposes of my review, and this is more or less a review. A lot of times I do an overview on these things. But this is more or less a review because I don't have a lot of time, but I do have round count, kind of. Enough to say some things that may carry weight, they may not, depending on what you really believe, how much data you really think is necessary for these things to have. I put this guy through a 500 round, actually, technically, it's more like a 750 round test, right? Over a very short period of time. And what I basically did with this guy is I stuck it on this gun, right? I stuck it on here and I basically just mounted it right on top of the gun, pretty much exactly like that. And I ran it. I zeroed it. I ran 500 rounds, and I checked it again. I kind of did a Sage Dynamics style thing with this, right? With the burn down and all that stuff. I didn't call it that. I shouldn't even say that because I don't want to copycat people so much. But if somebody has a really good standard for things, it just makes sense. And 500 rounds does make sense. If something's going to break in a short succession, that should rattle things loose, right? It should rattle things loose. And there are some things that I have gotten from some companies that it has rattled loose and it's broken stuff to where, yeah, I wouldn't want to use that thing, whatever it is, okay? But in this case, that's exactly what we did with this guy. We strapped it on here just like it goes on. And if I haven't showed that, this review is all over the place. I'm so sorry. But it is what it is. It's my style. It mounts by the side. You have this little quick throw lever basically that basically squishes this lever together down here. If that even shows up, it basically squishes everything together. It clamps on basically. I do believe it's somewhat adjustable. There's a screw open on this side and I tried to tighten it down a little bit. It did tighten. It did turn, so I do believe it tightened. However, whenever I had this guy mounted on the gun, I was and still am getting very slightly forward, and backward motion. So it will ride forward and backward in that Picatinny mount. But I have this mounted with a Glock style block, right? It comes with a Picatinny block. What I'm talking about is this little piece in here, right? Where most pistol lights will have these for different models, whether it be Smith & Wesson, Glock, HK, whatever. But then also generally they'll come with a Picatinny block in here that is supposedly it should fit things better, right? But this is mainly made for pistols, in my understanding, so I just left the Glock one in there, okay? Anyway, that's Fitment and stuff, and from what all I figured it fit your standard rail. It's not gonna fit, this is a Glock 48 with a, I'm gonna say it right, with a recovery rail. It's not gonna fit this because these rails are too short, right? That little locking or block piece right there, that is too far forward. It's not gonna lock in. You could kind of get it to click in, and it would, if it was on a 22, that might be okay, but it's just gonna slide right off. It's just friction fit on there, it's not gonna work. So check the length of your rail. Olight does make smaller versions of these. Valkyries, I think they're called Valkyries or Valkyrie Mini, whatever. But they make smaller versions of these things that are made for those short little rails. These guys are made for a standard sized rail. So like if I have one that doesn't have anything on it, here we go. So a Glock 19, this is gonna fit. That's gonna fit right in there and do exactly what it needs to do. It'd be very nice, clean looking. I do appreciate that fact on this one. For whatever reason, it does appear cleaner looking than a lot of the other, even other Olight options. It just does look a lot more cleaner, less big lines and bulk. I like it a little bit better. But those things, that's what it should fit, okay? But then also rifles and stuff. So if you had like a M-lock, or not M-lock, they don't do M-lock, it's pistol stuff, right? But if it had a Picatinny mount on the side, I could mount this on the side, but it honestly didn't work out bad. It worked out pretty well running this guy on the top, all right? So that's enough about fitment and stuff. I didn't have any issues with that. Even with that little bit of forward and backward motion, I'll show you the results of the test here in a second. But even with that forward and backward motion, it didn't prove to be anything substantial, okay? A couple different features about this. The R, I do believe on this model, the ProLight. Wow, now that would be a combination of two different companies. Okay, the Baldr Pro R, it is an R because it is rechargeable. So it comes with one of these little magnet rechargeable things. So the pro and con of this is that this is rechargeable, meaning you don't have to waste all your money on a bunch of batteries all the time. The con is that it's rechargeable. If something happens and your battery goes dead or you wear the light out, you gotta recharge it. There's no way to swap out a battery pack and put in a new battery pack, right? So if you're gonna be doing a bunch of training or a bunch of stuff, whatever with this, be prepared to make sure it's charged or have another light, or have something else going on, right? Because when this thing dies, you gotta plug it in and charge it, right? So there's a big pro and con to that. If you carry this or something like that, and that night, every night, whether you use the light or not, you just plug it in and it's good to go and it's topped off in the morning. And I believe that they advertise like an hour-and-a-half charge time, which I found to be pretty accurate. I mean, I didn't actually sit there and time it, but I left it plugged in, and when I came back in less than 2 hours, I would say, it was charged up and ready to go. So yeah, I would say it's pretty good. It's pretty good with that. In my experience with Olight's run times and things, they've always been spot on, if not less. Their advertised run times seem to be slightly less than the actual run time. So if they say an hour, probably gonna run about an hour and 5-10 minutes, something like that, right? That's just my experience with it, personal experience. When I have timed it, I haven't actually timed this guy. But anyway, that's some pros and cons of the rechargeability of this guy. And that is a benefit to some people. They really just don't want to spend the money on the batteries and stuff, which I get it. I don't like spending a bunch of money on batteries, and where I can, I use rechargeables. So that's a good option right there. Talking about runtime, we kind of hit on that for just a second. It's advertised up here, 1350 lumens, max lumens. And when you turn the light on, let's see which one we're on. We're on light and laser, all right? That is not 1350 lumens because it's on a low setting. And I believe, I'm gonna get it all wrong and messed up, but their low setting, yes, their low setting is 300 lumens. Now, if you remember back in the day, 65 lumens was hot snot. If you had 65 lumens, you had a tactical flashlight and you were good to go. Well, that's 300 lumens, and that's definitely more than 65 lumens, okay? Now, I believe that's how it comes. I forget, when I first opened this guy up, it would only turn on low, and there was no laser. It was just on like this, but that's how they ship it, right? You have to get it out of like safety travel mode, or I can't remember what they call it. But once you get it out of that mode, which it's in your literature when you get it, I can't remember, I think you hold the button down for a couple seconds or something. But anyway, if you double tap one of these little paddles on the side, then it boosts you up to your full power. So you have high power, you can double tap and it'll go to low power, right? And it will go back on to whatever mode it was on before. Talking about modes, on the bottom here, I do kind of like this. This has your different modes that it can be on, right? Right now it is on light only. I don't even know if that's showing up or not, but it's on light only, and then you can turn the ring, this knurled ring, and now it's gonna be on light and laser. Turn the ring again, and it's gonna go just to laser, all right? I hope that's showing up. I hope it's showing up. But anyway, that's how you go through your different modes, right? So right now it's going to be on laser only. I can turn it and go to light laser. And that's on low beam light laser. You can double tap either one of these paddles on the side, and it's going to bump it up to high beam with laser. And then you can turn the bezel again and go straight to just your light. So if you just want your light, you don't worry about the laser. There you go. You can do that, and you can switch it all the way back to your laser. Turn it off just by clicking one of the buttons, whatever. And then since we turn the high beam on, right, the high beam on, whatever, then when you turn it back on to one of the light modes, it's going to go back to that high beam, okay? Hope that makes sense. Probably a lot of words that didn't make sense, but hopefully it makes enough sense. That's enough about specs and stuff. I don't really get too heavy into the specs. The main things for me that I liked about it is that the programmability of it, right? When you leave it on a mode, it goes to that mode, and it stays on that mode until it dies, I guess. In my experience with it, that's what's happened. I do like the integrated laser, right? So if you want to use the laser, it's there. If you don't want to use the laser, you can just turn the bezel and it's not there, right? For whatever reason, if you didn't want to do that. And I do like the rechargeability factor of it. Now, I do understand the drawbacks of it. Like I said before, if this thing dies and you need a light, well, I'm sorry, it's dead. Even if you have batteries in your hand, can't stick them in here, right? So there's some big drawbacks to that, but if you have another light with you, which you should, and lights and low light stuff, 1 is none, 2 is 1, all that kind of concept, you should have another light with you anyway. But I do like that, and I do like the streamlinedness of this guy, okay? So let's get on to our test. Enough of that yipper yapping, just a bunch of talking stuff, whatever. But enough of that. Let's get to the test real quick. Like I said, we're going to basically zero this guy. So I'm going to show the 5-shot group zeroing. And then now I'm going to show you just the burn down. So we zeroed. Now, I don't even want to call it the burn down, but whatever. 500 rounds, pretty quick. Took about 4 or 5 minutes. Here we go. So that was really fun. I thought that was really fun. I really enjoyed doing it. And so after that, we went directly back to our tripod. And if I didn't say it before, the groups were shot on a tripod that basically, it's kind of like a hog saddle kind of thing where it has like a clamp that grabs onto the gun, and then it's on a tripod. So I'm trying to be as steady as I possibly can. You can see the laser moving around a little bit because it was cold and very windy and all that. And I was only at 36 yards, so I'm not doing this at a full 100 yards or whatever. I'm doing a 36-yard zero because I'm one of those weird people that likes those. And I figured 36 yards is good. And if you can tell, the size of the laser at 36 yards is a decent size, meaning it's kind of large. That's what I'm saying. It's not a pinpoint laser. So at 100 yards, it would be interesting. That laser is going to bloom and get bigger. So your point of aim is going to be a little bit more obscured, if that makes any sense. But anyway, that was 500 rounds. Let's look at the post 500 round 5-shot group. All right, so there you go. So we actually have it here in front of us. This is our 5-shot group zeroing. We did 500 rounds and then 5-shot group post 500 rounds. I think I said that right. Yeah, I did. I think I said that right. Anyway, basically, as you can see, most of the shots are in the sticker, meaning we only have a 5-shot group. 2 shots are outside the sticker low. This one has 1 shot, which is very high, but they're all in the sticker. So basically what I'm seeing is maybe about an inch or a ½ inch shift one way or the other, right? So depending on where you measure and everything, yeah, it's about an inch or so shift. After 500 rounds, and that thing got hot, right? I'll throw in here the other day, I actually tried to shoot this on another day where I did the same thing, where I zeroed it, and then I went to go shooting, and this is, I think, the 3rd or 4th time I've done that on this exact build, and I blew out my gas tube, right? So I'll show that real quick. So that was really fun. That blew out the gas tube right before the halfway mark of the 500 rounds. And so I had to scratch that whole test and ammo and everything, and then come back, rebuild the gun, and go back out and do it again. But there you go. That's just something to know. Gas tubes, maybe after you do about 1,000 rounds of that kind of fire, probably want to replace your gas tube, or don't shoot fully semi-automatic, whatever. Anyway, but this is what we got as far as accuracy-wise and repeatability, right? Even with that forward and backward shift on the Picatinny mount, because I didn't put the Picatinny, they have it right here, wherever it went. Yeah, they got it right here. This is a little Picatinny insert that you can put in. That might have tightened things up even more, I don't know. But even if it didn't, for my purposes, right, I wouldn't be using this thing past 100 yards doing a whole bunch of who knows what you're doing with the laser. You can point at stuff, but at that range, I'm going to start using a scope and not a laser. But at the closer distances of 36 and in, or 50 and in, this right here, that way, this right here, I'm perfectly fine with that. That's good to go in my book, right? In my book. Now, I'm not a laser fiend. I'm not a surgeon with a rifle kind of thing. That's not me. So for me and my purposes, that's going to be perfectly fine. Alright guys, that pretty much wraps it up. The Baldr Pro R from Olight. I do like the light. If you understand the pros and cons of having an integrated rechargeable battery, you got to understand that. Don't buy this thinking this is the only thing you're going to use, and then don't take the responsibility to make sure it's topped off, because when you need the light, Murphy's Law, it's going to be dead, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it to get it charged up, right? So understand those drawbacks, but even with those drawbacks, I think it has a place, right? Where's its place? That's up to you. Everybody does what they want to do. Everybody has reasons for why they do, right? Why they do what they do. Me personally, I don't have a holster to carry this guy in. If I did, I probably would throw it into some sort of a carry rotation and start actually using it, because I do feel that it has a place. It does have a nice bright light. I do like that. The laser does have its use, right? It does have its use. I'm not a huge laser guy, whatever, but I do see them having a place. I like that you can just switch to either one of these things. I do like those features, right? You're not tied to one where it has to be on all the time or whatever. No, I like the features that is built into this thing, okay? Enough of that. Hope you all enjoyed that. Let me know what y'all think. I do believe I have an affiliate link down below. I will post this thing down there if I do. If I don't, then I apologize. Just search Olight and you'll find their stuff. And again, Olight's Olight. If you love him, you love him. You hate him, you hate him. That's up to you. If you don't like this stuff, then don't watch the video. And that's fine, whatever. But for those people that do want to look at these things and give these guys a shot, yeah, the Baldr Pro R is not a bad light to look at. It's probably something worth at least checking out. All right, enough of that. Y'all be good, be safe. Appreciate you watching, subscribing, and everything. Hopefully we'll catch you guys in the next video.